At Christmas, my mom brought out old photo albums and placed them in my lap. My fiancé froze, staring at one of the pages, and whispered, "Can't you see?" The house smelled like pine needles, something sweet and burnt. A typical Christmas backdrop. Like everything was festive but tasted a little overcooked. I brought a tray of mugs into the living room. The coffee was mine, the cocoa was for my niece. I was still confused about who was drinking what. But no one noticed. Not even Mom. Especially Mom. "Just don't spill it again, okay?" she said as she walked by with a plate of sandwiches. I didn't say anything back. I hadn't spilled anything in a long time. The last time was when I was 11. But you don't check phrases like that here, they just repeat themselves. Michael was sitting by the window. My fiancé. First time in this house. Never in my childhood. He held the cup with both hands and didn't know where to put himself. The whole setting scared him. Open faces, loud voices, Aunt Gloria with a Christmas tree on her head like a hat. He tried to smile, but I could see it. He was reading, weighing, looking for points to breathe. "He's kind of quiet," my brother threw in. "He's not the only one," Mom added and looked at me. It was a hint. The smile underneath was a form of attack. I remained silent. That's when Mom offered the albums. Old photos. The same ritual. First the kids, then graduation, then here's us in Texas, and here's Kevin in front of the Grand Canyon. And on it went. I heard it every year. I knew it was coming. "Michael, you're gonna love it. It's our family history," Mom said. "You want to know where she came from, don't you? She's me. She doesn't have a name in these scenes." He politely agreed. We walked to the hall, sat down next to each other. She opened the album, carefully flipping through the pages. One after another shots. My brother being praised, me next to him with a side light like furniture. "You were always the quiet one." "Pensive," said Mom. "Even at matinees, standing like a column." I didn't answer. Michael looked at me. He didn't pity me. Just noticing. It was his way of looking. And there's the page. A holiday. Children at the table. 4 of them. One is my brother. One was me. I didn't remember the other 2. The one on the right with the striped sweatshirt, something about him was disturbingly familiar. But I wouldn't have noticed if it hadn't been for him. Michael jerked forward. He froze. "Can't you see?" he whispered. I tensed. "What?" He didn't answer. Just stared at the photo like there was a hole in the wall with someone looking in from inside. He didn't say another word until the evening. When the guests left, I went over to him. He was sitting on the couch, motionless, with the same expression he'd had then in the living room. "Michael," I said. He turned around slowly. "Who's that in the picture?" he asked. His voice was calm but dry. "Who do you mean?" "The boy on the right. In the striped sweatshirt. He looks like my father." I didn't answer right away. My brain was clinging to details, refusing to accept the absurdity. Look alike. All kids at 6 look alike. To someone. That's not an argument. But his eyes were different. He didn't just notice. He knew. "Do you have any baby pictures of him?" I asked. He nodded. "At home. I'll show you." At night we lay in silence. Back to back. The silence cut more than words. I could feel him staring at the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. In the morning he left. Said he'd show the picture to his father. He'd check it out. I didn't object. I just nodded. The rest of the day passed in gray silence. Mom pretended nothing had happened. My brother joked loudly as usual with gum in his teeth. I sat with my laptop but didn't read. Just pretending. In the evening I went up to the attic. Found boxes. Old photos. Notebooks. One scrapbook was not like the others, blue pages, faded signatures. I flipped through it quickly but carefully, until I came across the same photo. Underneath it is the inscription. Michelle. H4. December 25th. Michelle. I knew that name. It was Michael's father's name. My hand shook then. I didn't come back for dinner. I came downstairs, put on my jacket and left. I just told my mom I needed some air. "Just don't act like that time we embarrassed ourselves in front of Aunt Linda," she shouted after me. I didn't answer. I just kept walking. The ice was crunching under my feet. I had to get out of their house, at least for the night. I got a room at a cheap hotel by the highway. Didn't matter where. What mattered was silence. No scrapbooks, no she was always weird. No dinner where they eat you with stares and then demand thanks. I lay down in my clothes, and for the first time in years I fell asleep. The next morning I went back. Not because I wanted to. It was because I had to finish. My mom was waiting. In her robe with a cup of coffee, with the look of someone who was sure she had everything under control. "You're back," she said. "Oh, thank God. I thought you decided to play out the tragedy until New Year's Eve." I didn't answer. I walked on by. Went up to my room. I packed a bag. A few books, a couple of papers, a sweater I never liked but kept for some reason. It was all like a museum, a neatly folded reminder of the role I'd been handed since childhood. When I came downstairs, my brother was sitting on the couch with his phone. "How long are you going to be?" he asked. "Never mind," I said. "Mom's worried." "Does she know how to show it?" "It's amazing." He raised an eyebrow. "You always take everything so personally. Maybe it's just a coincidence." Michelle. December 25th. 4 years old. A photo in a house where no one knows who it is. Does that seem like a coincidence to you? He shrugged. "Maybe you're just looking for an excuse to leave?" I looked at him. For a long time. Without irritation. Just like a man who's lived in a house for a long time where lies are cozy. "I'm not looking for an excuse. I just don't play by your rules anymore." Mom came closer. "If you leave, it will be very painful. For all of us." I silently zipped up my bag. "You know we love you. In our own way. It's just that you've always been aloof." "No," I said. "I've just been trying to get comfortable for too long." I went out. It was quiet outside. And for the first time it wasn't scary. Later in the car I got a text from Michael. It was short. "I talked to my dad. He understood. I'll call you back." I didn't answer right away. I just drove on. I stopped at a gas station. I bought a coffee. Too hot, plastic flavored, but it was real. Not brought in from the kitchen, not poured to look at. Just mine. I watched the morning light fall into the mirror. He didn't promise anything. Nor did it demand it. The light on the dashboard came on, seatbelt not fastened. I buckled up. The silence inside the car was truer than any words spoken in 3 days. And yes, there was a photo lying around in a folder. I didn't throw it away. Some things should be remembered. Not for revenge, but to never come back. What happened next changed everything. Subscribe and stay. You don't want to miss how it unfolded. When I woke up, there were already 2 missed calls on my phone. One was from Michael. The other was from my mom. Voicemail. I didn't turn it on. I already knew what I was going to hear. I got up, made some strong tea. I didn't feel like coffee. My pulse was already like a treadmill. I slowly packed my bag. Decided to come back. Not for long. Just to get the rest of my stuff. Close the hinges. No talking. No discussion. When I pulled up to the house, the gate was open. It was like they were waiting for me. Though in this family, if anyone's expected, it's not you. It's your obedience. Mom met me in the hall. It was a painted smile. The one she wore when guests or the taxman came to visit. "Still angry?" she asked with a slight smile. "No. I just want to get my stuff." She nodded but didn't budge. "We still have pies. And by the way, Aunt Gloria was asking about you yesterday. Said you were too tense. Don't take it so hard, honey. You know we have our own way of talking." I walked by. I went up to my room. Started collecting files. Old notebooks. A few pictures that I really cared about. Not family productions with identical smiles, but ones of me alone. Against something real, the water, the wind, the wall of the old house. When I came downstairs, my brother was already in the kitchen. "You okay?" he asked. Like a man who realized he didn't have to be comfortable with anyone anymore. He chuckled. "Mom's worried. You know she didn't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just that you've always been special." "What do you mean?" "Well, not like us. Distant. Too serious. Maybe I just realized early on that we have a family where feelings are a weakness." He shrugged. "You always make things so complicated." "It's okay. You're just overheated." Michael called back while I was in the car. I answered it. "I showed the picture to my father," he said. He recognized himself. He said, "This was before the marriage." I didn't think they kept the pictures. I didn't say anything. I didn't know, he continued. I don't understand why you have to hide all this. Maybe your mom. You don't have to make things up. She always had her own explanation for everything. I just don't want to hear it anymore. Silence. You know, I want to understand. Everything. This situation. But I need time to. I'm not asking you to pick a side. I'm just, don't stop me from getting out. I disconnected the call. I stopped at the supermarket. I got water and a can of canned food. Don't ask me why. I guess I wanted to do something mundane to prove to myself that I was in control. At the checkout counter, the girl smiled. Such smiles I had missed for a long time. Neutral, not familiar, not checking. Back at the apartment, I stood at the window for a long time. The Christmas town lived on by inertia. Lights, music, millages of joy. It had all become distant. I texted Michael a short message. No hard feelings. No questions. Just, I'll be alone for a while. The reply came almost immediately. I understand. At that moment I remembered the attic. And the one drawer I hadn't opened at the time. Felt like there was something there. Not a document. An atmosphere. I went to the house again. No one opened it. I knew the code. Walked down the hall. No mom, no brother. The house breathed an alien air. I cautiously went upstairs. The attic was cold. I turned on the flashlight. I found a box. Inside were letters. A bunch of them. Tied with old ribbon. The top one says, "Do not open." No name. No address. Just handwriting. My mother's handwriting. I took the top letter. I unfolded it. It started with the words, "I don't know why you disappeared. But if you had stayed." I didn't read any further. I didn't need to know her side of the story. I knew enough. I closed the box. Put it back. By the time I got downstairs, my mom was already standing by the stairs. "What are you doing here?" she asked quietly. "Just to make sure the past is still where it was left." "It's none of your business. We make mistakes." "But I know. I think too much. I feel too much. You want to be special too much. And family is when you're one of them. One. No more. Then I'm definitely not family." I walked by. And this time she didn't stop. The next day my father called. A rarity in itself. "Mom said you found some letters." He began without greeting. I didn't read them. I just saw them. That was enough. "She's very upset right now. This whole thing might not have been so painful if you'd." "What?" "Well, if you hadn't brought it all out." I didn't say anything. "You don't have to destroy everything to feel free," he said. "And you don't have to build everything on silence." He exhaled. "I don't want to get into this. But you realize she's had her own life. A complicated one. I was given the part. No explanation. No right to question. It's your choice to make a big deal out of it." I disconnected. I didn't call back. Silence became my filter. I stopped picking up the phone if I saw familiar numbers. I started sleeping with the sound off. For the first time in years I slept for real. I didn't make any sudden moves. I just retreated. Michael wrote again. "I don't know how things will work out. But if you decide it's okay for me to stay, I'm here for you." I read it. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry, but because even around now needed to be reevaluated. I got another apartment. A small one with one window and a hard bed. No pictures. No past. Clean. The job was the same. But in the office I was different. People noticed. They asked me why I was quieter. I didn't explain. Not to anyone. Sometimes I caught myself thinking, maybe it's too much. But then I'd remember my father's voice, my brother's tone, my mother's look. And everything fell back into place. Family isn't always something you have to live with. Sometimes it's something you have to live with. A week later a letter arrived. A paper letter. In an unstamped envelope. Mom's handwriting on the back. Inside one sentence. "If you think you can just disappear, you're wrong." I put the envelope in the shredder. Then a second letter. It was from my brother. "We've been talking to Mom about this. You're overreacting. It's just a photo. Stop making such a big deal out of it." The word "we" in that letter killed any residual warmth. I put the letter in the drawer. I didn't tear it up. Just didn't give it any weight. 3 days later, my niece called. Her voice was quiet. You're not coming to the party? No. They say you left because you were offended. Did you? No. I just don't go back where they can't hear me anymore. I miss you, she whispered. And I believed it. I believed it once. That was the hardest part. But I didn't go. I started writing down dates. Who called when? Who said what? Not to blame. So I wouldn't forget. Memory erases the pain, but it brings back the addiction. And I wanted to keep just the facts. In mid-January, my mom posted a post. Photo. The whole family at the table. Caption. When everyone is home. I wasn't there. It wasn't painful. It was liberating. The next day, I deleted everyone from Messenger. No announcement. No drama. Just silence. I knew they would make a circle after that. First silence. Then resentment. Then, she betrayed me. I've seen it before. With others. With Aunt Dorothy, with Uncle Fred. When someone leaves, they're made an enemy so they don't feel they were needed. Now it was my turn. But I didn't argue. I just wasn't part of their mechanism anymore. February was empty. Not a single phone call. No letters. No messages. Only the occasional reminder from myself. I didn't wait any longer. Michael sent a postcard. Inside was a picture of a tree. A lonely one. Signed, "Some things need to be replanted to survive." I put the card on the shelf. Not as a hint. As a fact. I didn't know what would happen to us. But I did know I was finally okay with myself. In the spring, an invitation came for a family event. Dad's birthday. The sender was my mom. Signed, "If you want to be an adult, forgive." I didn't respond. I just walked out of the house. I stood by the tree that grew in front of my driveway. It was dry, but alive. I looked at it for a long time, and then I left. No photo. No album. No looking back. Some families aren't roots. They're anchors. They're the culmination. Everything you've been waiting for is right here. Subscribe now to see the hero put everyone in their place. Spring came quickly. No fanfare. No promises. I woke up before my alarm clock. Not because I had to. It was just quiet inside. Even the silence didn't seem empty anymore. I didn't wait for the news. I didn't check my feeds. I didn't count how many days it had been since the last contact. They didn't call. I didn't call. The world held the balance of silence. Michael wrote less often. Sometimes short phrases. Are you okay? Do you need help? I'm here if you need me. He didn't impose. It was important. He knew the boundaries were worth it. Even if they weren't made of stone. I didn't answer. For a long time. And then I just wrote, "Thank you. But I don't need someone to wait. I need to get there myself." And that was it. Sometimes I'd sit in the cafe across the park. The order was always the same. Black coffee and toast. The waitress remembered me. But she didn't ask my name. And that's what made me comfortable. One day she said, "You have that look in your eyes. Like a survivor of a fire." I smiled. Almost. In early April I got a letter. An email. From my father. Subject. Justice. Inside a long text. Not a single apology. Just explanations. Why they kept quiet. Why mom didn't want to crow. Why a family doesn't have to be transparent to be real. I read it. Closed it. Didn't respond. Then I deleted it. It wasn't an act of forgiveness. It was an act of non-participation. I stopped writing down dates. Because I was no longer recording other people's attempts. Everything that mattered now only happened inside. I finally got a taste of solitude, not as isolation but as autonomy. But one night was different after all. I was walking home through the public garden. It was cool. The sky was clear without promise. And suddenly I heard a voice. "You've changed. Michael." Standing by the tree. No umbrella, no words. I walked over. I didn't smile. I was just being me. He nodded. "I don't want what was," he said. "I want to find out who you've become. It's a long way off. I have time." We didn't hug. We didn't say "I'm sorry" or "let's start over." We just walked side by side. After a block he turned the other way. "Text me if you want to continue," he tossed over his shoulder. I didn't answer. Neither yes nor no. The next day the doorbell rang. The mailman. An envelope. Paper. Mom's handwriting. I stood there holding it. I didn't open it. Inside there were no more expectations. Just the fact. I opened it 2 days later. The note was short. I still think you're unfair. But I don't want to die with a grudge. Not a signature. Not with love. Just that. I folded the paper. Put it in the drawer. I didn't answer it. A week later my brother called. She's in the hospital. It's not serious. Just prophylactic. But she asked about you. I see. Will you come? No. It's cruel, he said. It's cruel to be taught that silence is better than words. And pretending to care. He hung up. It was the climax. Not of events. Of silence. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel relief. I just wasn't connected anymore. I was promoted at work. No fuss. Just a letter in the mail. New position approved. I printed it out. I put it in a folder. I didn't tell anyone. Not even myself. I used to imagine how proud my parents would be. Now it was enough that I didn't think about them at all. The supervisor said, "You've got a lot of guts. That's rare nowadays." I thanked her. I didn't explain where it was formed. I read in the evenings. I walked. I cleaned the house. It was simple. And that's what freedom is. Sometimes my niece would call me. Her voice was the only one that didn't set off the alarm. "You're not angry?" she'd ask. "I'm not. You just disappeared." "No. I just walked out." She stopped talking. Then she said, "I want to be like you. When I grow up." I held the phone to my ear long after she hung up. No sound. Just listened to the silence. It was the only moment I thought maybe it wasn't all for nothing. Spring was coming to an end. Michael didn't write. Mom hadn't called. My brother was probably still convinced that I was the main problem in the equation. I didn't argue anymore. Not even inside myself. Sometimes I woke up and didn't realize what day of the week it was. That was happiness. Peace is when you stop explaining to others why you're breathing. You just breathe. In June I got a postcard. No return address. Inside was a picture of a family dinner. They're all together again. Same table. Same faces. Except I'm not there. On the back it says, "We love you. Come back when you're cold." I burned it on the balcony. No anger. Just to keep it from piling up. A couple days later, I got a call from an unknown number. A woman's voice. "It's Martha. A friend of your mother's. She'd like to see you. Just to talk." "Why?" She said there's a lot she'd like to say. She still can. Why doesn't she say it herself? She's afraid you won't answer. She's right. I turned it off. And then I disconnected the phone. The next day there was a note in the driveway. Mother's handwriting. I understand. But it hurts. I stared at the note. Then I tore it up. Slowly. Evenly. You can't resent someone who is no longer your resource. And expect him to come back. I'm not coming back. A week later I saw Michael again. By chance. On the street. He was walking with someone. Clearly not family. A woman. But it didn't matter. He saw me. He froze. I nodded. He did too. And that was it. No drama. No words. Sometimes a meeting is just a dot. Not a comma. Not a parenthesis. Not a what if. Just a period. I moved on. To the store to get salt. It was my day. And it was all mine. At the end of the month, I did something I've been putting off for years. I closed the family account remotely. The one where everyone was assigned to. The one where the payments were habitual. The bank checked. Are you sure? There'll be a loss of access for the other members. I'm sure. They didn't call. Probably just didn't realize it right away. 3 days later, a text from my brother. Are you out of your mind? I didn't answer. The next morning, a voicemail from my mother. I can't believe you would do that. We've always been a family. I hit delete without listening. Then there were 3 more messages. Then silence. I knew this cycle. I'd lived in it for years. Now I was watching from the sidelines. I wasn't in pain anymore. I bought myself a watch. Not because I needed one, but because I wanted to. A small personal act of choice. Then I went to the country. Alone. No plans. Just on the road. With stops at little cafes. With stupid conversations with strangers. I sat by the water. Without my phone in my hand. Without the urge to text someone how beautiful it was. This was mine. No proof. No witnesses. No report. And for the first time, no part of me thought I should tell someone. I was silent. And in that silence was everything. At the beginning of July, I re-registered everything to myself. Rent bills, subscriptions. Things that used to go to general mail were now mine alone. The symbolism in this was simple. Not a single click seemed vindictive. It was like cleaning out an old closet. Lots of dust, no drama. I started a new address. A new password. A new rhythm. People around me didn't know where I was from. And that was an advantage, not a loss. Sometimes I still got letters in the mail, newsletters, reminders that, you're welcome. I didn't unsubscribe. Just let them accumulate. Like the noise outside the window. Not disturbing. Just alien. When I looked at my reflection in the window, in the water, in the glass of the entryway, I was no longer looking for validation. I just saw a man to live with. Not better. Not stronger. Just real. No ending is instantaneous. It drags on with actions, rejections, small choices. But then one morning you don't look back. You don't worry that someone's gone. You don't wait for someone to show up. That morning was today. I made tea. I looked at my phone off. And left it like that. All day long. I didn't leave. I didn't disappear. I just stopped answering people who never heard. I went out on the balcony with a cup. Watched the wind move the laundry on a nearby rope. Life went on. Didn't ask, didn't check to see who was in it. I took the final step, deleted the old chat rooms. Family. The photo ones. The voice ones. The what's up chats. All of it, no trace. It wasn't a gesture. It was an order. When it's over, you don't look for an ending. You just live on. And I did.